What's up, gamers? My name's Guam, and this is Moral Queen. Together, we're trying to set the record for the fastest Iron Maxcape without getting help from another account unless it's absolutely necessary to complete the content. Welcome back to the Iron Maxcape Speedrun Moral Percent. I wanted to take a quick second at the beginning of this episode to go over the rules, because I'm getting a lot of questions about stuff like Alt Slayer and other things of that nature. I thought saying not getting help from other accounts was pretty clear, and there is a link to the rules in the description if you click down there, but I guess I can talk about it too. And there should be a timecode on screen to skip to if you just don't care about any of this, which I understand. Now I know there's a lot of words here, but it's not really supposed to be a super restrictive rule set. I just wrote down anything that came up while I played the speedrun and anything that anyone else mentioned to me that might conflict with the idea of playing an Iron account morally. The biggest portion of this is basically dedicated to just not being assisted by other accounts for any reason other than it being necessary to do a piece of content, and it includes a bunch of specific examples of that, like boosting torsos, paying for carries, mains selling to shops, Slayer ulting, stuff like that. There's also a whole section for group minigames, and I typed a whole lot of stuff there to basically say mass worlds are okay as long as you aren't doing leech strats or being boosted, and if you can prove that. And if you're wondering how you'd prove that, you can go into the description and watch some really long, sped up, unlisted videos of some very repetitive content if you really feel like it. It's pretty simple, really. Thanks for listening. Oh, and I'll also remind you every few episodes, the time on the screen isn't the actual time we're using for the speedrun. That's going to be in-game time, which I'll reveal once I max. The time on screen represents the real human time that I've put into this, including, login screens, hopping, logging out while I look stuff up on the wiki in a panic, all of that sort of stuff. We finished last episode still working on the first major goal of the account, which is 100 combat. So after a little bit of Guardians of the Rift, I took my runes out into the wilderness and alked while I killed stuff. Most of the wild is dead, it's basically free. I didn't do it on a revs task though, because that's a little bit spooky, but I did do it with fire giants in Deep Wildy, and I even got a couple of Laren's keys out of it. When I ran out of runes, I went back to Guardians of the Rift to stock up a little bit and get a little bit more runecrafting XP, of course. I got pretty lucky on the pearls from these pulls, so I was pretty happy, and then I got even luckier on the Tarnished Locket, which, if you don't know, you have a chat with the Lumbridge guide with it in your backpack, and he gives you an Amulet of the Eye, which is like a budget crafting cape, basically. Teleports you right to the bank. Well, it's a few steps away, but it's not too bad. With the runes I just made, I went back out into the Wildy for a few more magic levels in Laren's keys, and then went off on a questing journey again. We finished Ernest the Chicken, Vampire Slayer, got a gem and some agility tickets to buy a Snapdragon for Fairy Tale Part 1, which got me some free farming XP. Finally finished Prince Ali Rescue. We finished enough of Fairy Tale Part 2 to get the fairy rings unlocked. Talked to Oziak for Dragon Slayer and a bunch of free melee XP. Gave Dave a real evil soup. Clicked back and forth on some old spaghetti code to finish Holy Grail. We proved to the barbarians that I'm an alcoholic. Saved a man from some dogs in a cave to finish Horror from the Deep, then ran off to get an incredibly quick rune and mithril axe from nature spirits. Got a prayer level getting the ecto tokens for animal magnetism, and then yet again got stuck watching one of the longest cutscenes in the world that, holy do I wish I could skip these, I've seen them way too many times, Jagex. Anyway, I finished animal magnetism, had a quick jog around for some runes again. I managed to pull an abyssal lantern, which is just amazing, it's more free points, then went back out into the wildy for some more alking. Except this time we have a high alk, so it's even more XP. Once I was finished with the Fire Giant task, I got a Spider task and used it for some easy range XP, then started going back and forth between Crystalia and Turiel when I didn't get a quick, doable task. Fun fact, that keeps your Slayer streak going up every time you do a Turiel task. My hope is really to get a Wilderness streak going to build up some points pretty quickly, but at this stage in the account a lot of tasks would take way too long to bother with, so this is what we deal with for now. It works fine. After a few more Turiel tasks and levels, I started doing some more quests again. I did Spirits of the Elid and Underground Pass. I was then assigned bears, which I bonked on the head for their attack XP. And then Crystalia was kind enough to give me green dragons. I was pretty excited about this, because the next thing on my route was prayer, so I bopped a couple of them on the nose until I got 50 attack, and then teleported off for another quick session at Guardians of the Rift to fund myself using Ivan's Blast. I've been generally pretty unlucky with the drops up to this point, but that's the way she goes sometimes. After that, I made my way back to the dragons and stayed until Runelight said I had enough bones for 43 prayer, then ran off to Edgeville to make burning amulets and made some sacrifices to the gods of PKing. I tell you out there, do the bones, respawn at Lumbridge, repeat. It's super easy. PKers aren't real. With my newfound protection, I went off to do Ghosts Ahoy, did my first tree run for some farming levels, and went off to do Monkey Madness. I made all 4 Greegrees for RFD later, got a bunch of combat XP, and did another tree run for some more farming levels. Oh my god, the early game just keeps going. There's Wanted and 41 Slayer, 53 attack from Slug Menace, which also got me 51 crafting. I got 2 free herb levels from Shades of Morton, did a forced group activity, killed a lady for some gloves, then completed heroes quests for even more herb levels, before running up north for Fermi Trials and finally being able to take a nice chill break while working on Throne of Miscellanea. The Rake Hop Elk method is pretty chill, your reputation goes up pretty fast, but I realized halfway through that I wasn't sure where I learned this method or even if this is the right way to do it. But it was pretty quick and I don't have to do it again, so whatever, I guess. After I finished Throne of Miscellanea and Royal Trouble, I put what little savings I had left over into the coffers and made a quick trip to the Thieves' Den to get the Rogue's outfit. To help with run energy while doing this, I teleported to Ferox after every run and teleported back with a Games Necklace. That way I didn't have to use all my energy potions to have run energy, I could just get it at Ferox. The outfit isn't as useful to me as it could be. I'm not spamming 99 thieving early for GP, but I will be doing a little bit of blackshacking and master farmers, so it's worth the time investment, I think. After another quick hourly run, I teleported down to Poln of Neech and got to 65 thieving on the low-level bandits. I'm really trying to push the farming level up here, it's super important, so we did another tree run, got a dragon fruit seed from a birdhouse run, and started mining some volcanic ash for ultra compost because I finally got 3 teak seeds and I wanted to get the hardwoods going. I then went back to Poln of Neech to finish off 70 thieving and top up the GP stack of course, and then made a quick stop to do some volunteer cooking for soldiers in Hesidius so that I could get 100% failure to use Tithe Farm. Now, personally, I kind of enjoy Tithe Farm, but I'm sure some of you out there are cringing about it, which is super valid. The reason, or reasons I guess, I'm here are Autoweed and the Herb Sack. Now, Autoweed is just like a huge QOL time save thing for farming, that one's not the biggest deal, but the Herb Sack makes herb runs a lot faster, and also helps me get herbs faster from Slayer. Plus the farming XP from doing both of those is incredibly helpful for me right now to get past the easy farming contracts and start getting more herbs more consistently. The method I'm doing here is called 24+1, which is pretty well named because 24+1 is 25, and that's how many seeds you plant per run. I start on the little single patch in the south, and then plant in all 3 of the middle rows. Realistically, if you lose too many ticks or don't want to click use on the watering can on the first round, this is impossible. But, to be honest, I used to hate Tithe Farm until I figured this out, so maybe you want to try it. It might seem difficult, but I did most of this grind kinda stoned, and had quite a lot of misclicks, and only lost, I think, 4 plants during the entire Tithe Farm grind. You might mess up on the first few runs, but once you get the walking pattern figured out, it's pretty chill. After doing a few runs and running out of energy potions, I took my fancy new rogue's outfit to Draenor Village to click on a farmer and get punched for a little while I thought about whether logout farming was worth it. For a brief moment, I had the idea of just sitting at a single patch, logging in and out, and farming a patch that's guaranteed not to die, or just sit at the farming guild and log in and out to do contracts for 3 months. From an in-game time perspective, that'd be great, right? But, now I don't know about you, maybe that sounds like a good idea, but it would make me want to cry. Like really hard. If you want to do that, I support you, that sounds great, and you'll definitely set a new record in 10 years. Now that's not to say I haven't and won't be doing it a little bit. I work from home and have notifications and timers set up to do birdhouse runs, contracts, herbs, all of that, so quite a lot of the hourly stuff gets done throughout the day with me logging in and out between them. But then in the evening or on the weekend, if I'm doing something else on the account and the notification comes up, I'll gear for a run and take the extra in-game time to do it. The positive to that is that it gives me even more time to do zero-time activities like fire making, fletching, glassblowing, alking, whatever other things I need to do, so I think it all evens out in the end. Anyway, I went back to Tithe Farm after I had a decent stack of birdhouse seeds for the Master Farmer, got a couple more farming levels, and ran off to a place I'm going to get very familiar with during this run, the Farming Guild. I set up the pre-plants for easy contracts, which are pretty bad in general, but I wouldn't be doing many, and they get me some more Harrowlander seeds for energy potions, as well as some seeds for easy contracts in the future when I get Janed and have to downgrade my contracts. After I finished setting up for my contracts, I did a quick bird and tree run, then made my way back to Tithe Farm to finish off the points I needed to finish the content. And that's where I'm going to leave you this time, folks. Next episode, you'd never guess, I'll be playing more Oldschool Runescape as fast as I can. If you want to see that, maybe like and subscribe, leave a comment mayhaps, I'd appreciate it. I've got my stats from last episode on screen to compare them with the progress so far, and you can see my bank scrolling up if you want to see how rich I am. Thanks for watching, folks. See you next time.